Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. Now, we all were very well aware of the fact that Assassin's Creed Shadows has now been delayed to Black History Month over here in the United States, which is kind of ironic in the whole situation out there, and I'm sure wasn't intentional in any way, shape, or form. But at the end of the day, obviously, we know it's getting pushed back, and after the absolute abysmal failure of Star Wars Outlaws and how much money that game has lost and will continue to lose Ubisoft over the next little while, well, it's no big surprise out there that the next game in their situation out there, they decided to push back and do a little work on it, a few fixes on it out there. And boys and girls, we've got some insider information as well as what the company has said publicly as to exactly why this is going on and what kind of changes they're going to be trying to make in the background over basically the next 4 or 5 months that they've got in order to try to fix this game before it launches in February. And boys and girls, I do not have much hope for this in any way, shape, or form. Ubisoft was banking on Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows to put them back in the black, to actually make them a profitable company again. And after Star Wars Outlaws has flopped, the company now knows that that's not going to end up happening. So they're trying to push Assassin's Creed back to the end of their fiscal year out there. So hopefully they can end the year at least on break-even status, but more than likely they'll probably still end up bleeding money. And it'll be very curious to see what Ubisoft looks like next year with all of the threats of someone coming in and taking over this company. So we're going to take this article from boundingintocomics.com, get into all the juicy details and see exactly what's going on and what kind of disastrous dumpster fire might have precluded some of this game actually coming out and why it's going to end up being such hot garbage. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Does this actually make sense to you? Do you think you need this time taken away? Will at least make the game less of a buggy mess than we saw with Star Wars Outlaws? Do you really think they'll have time to fix a lot of the historical inaccuracies in this? And of course, please don't believe the rumor that they're going to completely and totally replace Yusuke. That is not going to happen. So let us know what you think about all of that down below, and it also helps out the algorithm. So from Spencer Bakuli over there at Bounding Into Comics, Assassin's Creed Shadows dev team reportedly using delay to address many of the historical and cultural concerns. Well, yeah, you kind of literally pissed off almost an entire country with all of your absolute disrespect and disregard for Japanese culture and history. So, problems said to have been caused by historians being brought onto the project much later than usual. Oh, no. A new report has potentially shown light on just how Ubisoft is planning to use the extra Assassin's Creed Shadows dev time allotted to them by the game's recent delay. As previously reported on September 25th, the series executive producer Mark Alexis Cody announced that in light of the deluge of criticism being leveled towards the title's narrative, mechanical direction, as well as the failure of their recent Star Wars Outlaws, the currently going through it studio had decided to delay the release of Assassin's Creed Shadows for nearly 3 months. Obviously, we've gone over this before in the initial announcement that this was all canceled. They said we're just trying to polish up the game, we're trying to make it better, we're trying to fix some other things, we're trying to fix some key features, all that kind of stuff, because that was one of the biggest complaints about Star Wars Outlaws. Where if you had a problem with the main protagonist and them intentionally making that beautiful voice actress ugly for the game out there or not, the mechanics were broken and busted. There are videos all over the place, and that's the only thing Star Wars Outlaws is ever going to be remembered for, is how broken this game was in the very beginning. So yeah, we're getting this exact same kind of thing right here. So in a separate statement released that day, they said, well, the game informed the investors, and this is the fun one. This is to the investors out there, right? Well, the game is feature complete. The learnings from Star Wars Outlaws release led us to provide additional time to further polish the title. Yeah, because everybody called you out for Star Wars Outlaws looking like a broken and buggy mess. And when you told us we were a bunch of idiots for criticizing your game and that you were going forward with the release no matter what, well, now you've got what? Around 1 million in sales and hundreds of millions of dollars and years of people's lives completely and totally down the toilet over that failed, broken, and buggy game. Good job, Ubisoft. You're the smartest in the room, aren't you? So yeah, they're going to be changing a lot of things out there. So in light of this decision, the internet was soon set ablaze with speculation regarding just what improvements Ubisoft could be making to Shadows, with the most popular theory notably being that they would be completely removing Yusuke from the game's narrative and replacing him with an ethnically Japanese counterpart. To anybody that seriously believed that for even a second and wasn't just joking about it on the internet, boys and girls, come on now. They would literally have to scrap the game and completely and totally redo it. So unfortunately for those who placed their bets on this potential outcome, according to the insider sources who spoke to Inside Gaming's Tom Henderson, a change in protagonist is not on their to-do list. It would tire. However, while Yusuke may be sticking around, said sources did suggest that Ubisoft was dedicating a portion of the extra dev time to actively addressing many of the historical and cultural concerns, which started before the game's reveal following external playtest and were accelerated further following the game's initial reveal and mass feedback. How about mass blowback from everybody that was ever a fan of Assassin's Creed in any way, shape, or form, and almost the entire country of Japan? Come on now. So this includes changing some of Yusuke's story and how he's portrayed in the game, fixing architectural details, and ensuring that the game is historically grounded while fitting into the Assassin's Creed universe. Oh, I don't know, maybe you'll remove the fact that you've got a black man stomping through all of ancient Japan out there and smashing buildings and destroying people's blocks and all of that kind of stuff. I don't know, maybe that's an idea to talk about it. As to how much stark historical issues made it through Ubisoft's supposedly strict asset approval process, which we later found out by some of the insiders that worked at this company out there that they were literally told just to go Google things and pull the assets off of Google. Henderson's sources explained to him that historical experts were brought onto the project much later than usual for a project of this magnitude. Remember, this was supposed to be their next flagship game for the Assassin's Creed franchise. And the miscommunication between teams and cutting corners when it came to the approval process of asset to meet deadlines were also at play. Oh, that's right, because Ubisoft is broke right now, and they were desperate to get this game out before the end of their fiscal year, so that way their investors don't literally try to come after their asses for the disastrous decisions that they've made that have turned Ubisoft into the absolute dumpster fire it currently is. Don't believe me? Check their stock price. In addition to these aesthetic and narrative issues, the insiders noted that the game would also be receiving some major polish. The game is currently not at a stage it needs to be for release, i.e. Star Wars Outlaws, which we tried to tell them that, but of course they were smarter than all of us out there. But hey, 2 + 2 still equals 4, and Star Wars Outlaws is a flop, and they know it. And I'm told there have been some tweaks to some gameplay mechanics and elements that are going to make time to incorporate. While some of these issues were highlighted in recent playtests and mock reviews, these are end of development issues that will take a little longer. You mean maybe like not having broken and buggy stealth mechanics like we saw in Star Wars Outlaws? There's an idea. Ultimately, the results of these changes, whether or not they'll have any positive effect on the game's sales prospects, will be confirmed with Assassin's Creed Shadows officially releases on its new date of none other than February 14th, Valentine's Day, right in the middle of Black History Month. Now, do I think if they will fix a lot of the broken and buggy, damaged issues that we saw with Star Wars Outlaw, will it be more successful than that game? Probably. The Assassin's Creed franchise is a hardcore franchise. It's a fan base that's been around for a long time, and they love this game. It was I think I played all the way up until 4, and I love these games. I was always excited to hear about the next Assassin's Creed. Black Flag was incredible. The American Revolution one is, of course, the first two were just absolute chef's kiss of video games out there. But it's one of them situations where Ubisoft has lost a lot of its player fan base out there because we've seen repetitive kind of video games that they put out over and over again with the same kind of fetch and the kind of same fetch quests that we've seen over and over again, and it's gotten dry, it's gotten dull, and it's gotten boring for a lot of people. And for the fact that they decided to, after so many years of asking for a game in feudal Japan, then decide to go out there and make a black character the lead of the entire story out there based on completely and totally false narrative around actual historical events has caused a lot of backlash. Will it cause the kind of backlash that will cause this game to be as big a flop as Star Wars Outlaws? I don't know. The Simps, if they fix all the technical glitches and all of those problems out there like we saw with Star Wars Outlaws, the Simps for the Spirit of the Age will absolutely try to push and promote this game as much as possible. But if they are too short on time and they are not able to fail this game will end up being a bigger flop than Star Wars Outlaws, because at the end of the day, Assassin's Creed might be a huge fan base and a huge franchise out there, but it is nothing compared to Star Wars. And if this thing can't even come close to the Star Wars numbers, Ubisoft may very well go completely and totally bankrupt and not exist in its current form next year. And honestly, at the end of the day, you get exactly what you deserve. Go woke, go broke, and good job for hiring Sweet Baby Inc., because that's going to pan out real well for you, isn't it?